Okay, so far we've been comparing wages and share of employees by industry and for the current year. But we do have more years of data here. So what could also be interesting for the seniors to see are the wage and employee trends for the selected industry. So let's set this up in our data prep tab. We want wage and employee trends. And this time, instead of breaking it down by industry, we want to break it down by year. And we're going to want the average wage and the employees. And you'll see that Excel learned from our patterns and already applied this formatting to this row. Now we just need to copy this one, apply it here, and just resize a bit. Now to bring in our years, we could once again copy this entire year column, paste it over in our data prep tab, and remove duplicates. But since we already know we're working with data from 2017 to 2020, we can just write them here directly. So write the first year, drag it down from the corner 4 times, and then just fill the series. So now we have 2017 to 2020. And again, to calculate the average wage for each year, we want an average based on different criteria. So we want the year to be equal to this year, and the industry to be equal to the selection. So once again, we need to use average ifs. So let's start writing that down. Average ifs. The average range is going to be the average annual wage in our data tab. The first criteria range is going to be for the industry to be equal to the industry selected. I'm going to fix this with F4 since we want it to stay fixed in this cell. And the second criteria range is going to be for my year to be equal to this year right here. Now you'll notice that once again, since we are switching between tabs, that Excel added the data prep prefix to this reference here. And in this case, that's okay. We're never going to end up sorting this any other way because in order to show trend, we do need to show the years in this order. So we can just close off our formula here, press enter, copy the formatting from over here, and apply this down. So it looks like the trend for finance has been pretty positive throughout the years. And we can change the selection just to see if it works. And it looks like manufacturing again has been growing. Now, as far as employee trends, we still want the sum, not the average, because we want the total volume of employees for any given year and any given industry. So once again, let's use some ifs. Open that up. The sum range is going to be my number of employees. Criteria range industry. The selection is going to be the criteria. Again, fix that. The second criteria range is going to be the year. And the criteria is going to be this year right here. Again, not fixed because we do want it to carry over with our formula. Close this off. Copy the formatting from my employees. And it looks like even though they had growth all the way up to 2019, they did lose some employees in 2020, at least for manufacturing. Let's see if that carries over to other services, and it looks like it does. All right, so we've got our data ready. Now, how can we visualize it? Well, we're trying to show comparison with time series data. So a line chart would normally be the way to go. So let's try to add one here. I'm going to select the data, insert, line chart, and you'll notice that there are a couple of weird things happening here. The first of which being that the year is actually a separate series when we really wanted it to be our x-axis. And the reason that happened is because years are, as far as Excel knows right now, numerical values. So when you select numerical values and insert a chart based on them, Excel is automatically going to add them to one of the series. So there are a couple ways to fix this. We can force Excel to look at this as text, or we can select the chart, go to Chart Design, select Data, remove the Year Series, And for each of these series, just let it know that the x-axis is actually these years here. And you'll see that it automatically added this x-axis for both of our series. So press OK. And you'll see that we do now have the years in our x-axis, and we're only looking at 2 series. But things still seem a little bit off. And that's because this is actually the first time that we've tried to plot 2 different metrics on the same chart. And the problem is that we're looking at 2 completely different scales here. I mean, the average wage goes up to 40,000, but the employees are in the millions. So naturally, this average wage series is completely watered down here. Now, what we could try to do is to plot this series. Select it, right-click, go to Format Data Series, and try to plot it on a secondary axis. And that does help a bit, but it is still actually a bit confusing. And the reason is that usually when we're looking at 2 lines on a chart, they represent 2 series of the same metric. But here they're actually 2 different metrics, which is why it's a little bit weird to look at. The good news is that Excel has a special type of chart for this situation called a combo chart, which basically lets you combine 2 chart types into one. So with the chart selected, I'm going to go to Change Chart Type, and you'll see that because we did add that secondary axis, Excel automatically turned this into a combo chart, but it's simply displaying 2 lines. But what we can do is change this employee series from a line to a column chart and press OK. Now, I know what you're thinking. The employees by year are still time series data, and we're using a column chart that is meant for categorical data. Now, this is true, but A, column charts are actually not bad for time series data since they do a good job showing trends, and B, columns actually do a better job than lines to show volume, which is what the sum of employees represents compared to the average values for the wages. Now, because we are showing columns, it's important that the baseline does start at 0. So let's modify that. Right click, Format Axis, and we want the minimum to be 0. Close out of that. And let's continue with the formatting. Let's remove the shape outline, remove these grid lines, make the year a little bit bigger, and let's add some axis titles because right now I'm not really sure what I'm looking at here. So let's do, primary vertical is this one, and this is going to be average annual wages. And let's add a secondary vertical, which is this one, and that's going to be employees. Separate this a bit, and let's give it a title, which is going to be wage and employee trends. Make the title bold. And now let's check that our industry selector works. So let's change this to finance, and we can see that this is actually updating properly. So there we go, employees and average wages by year.